Hi, welcome to another video. GLM-5.2 is one of the best open models I have tried for building user interfaces, and today I want to show you a really good way to use it. We are going to connect GLM-5.2 to OpenDesign, which is a free and open source agentic design workspace. Then, we will use the combination to generate a proper landing page, an analytics dashboard, and even a mobile interface. I will also take you through the complete installation and configuration step by step so you can follow along, even if you have never used OpenDesign before. So let's get right into it. GLM-5.2 is the latest flagship model from Z.AI. It is a text model with a 1 million token context window, up to 128,000 output tokens, tool calling, structured output, and deep thinking. Those specifications are great, but the reason I find it interesting here is that it is very good at long, constrained coding tasks. A good interface is not just one nice hero section. The model needs to keep the colors, typography, spacing, components, and responsive behavior consistent across the entire page. GLM-5.2 is quite good at holding on to those instructions without slowly turning everything into random gradients and generic cards. Of course, the model is only half of this workflow. If you give even a great coding model a vague prompt like "make me a beautiful website," you can still get the usual AI-looking result. This is where OpenDesign comes in. OpenDesign is basically an open-source alternative to tools like Claude Design. It gives the model a complete design workflow instead of just an empty chat box. It includes more than 100 design skills, around 150 design systems, and a large plugin library. You can use it for web prototypes, mobile interfaces, dashboards, decks, images, and even motion graphics. Most importantly, the prototypes are made with real HTML and CSS. You can preview them, edit them, export them, and hand them off to a coding agent. You're not just getting a flat screenshot that needs to be rebuilt from scratch later. OpenDesign is also Apache 2.0 licensed, local first, and model agnostic. So, you can use Claude, Codex, Gemini, Qwen, OpenCode, or any OpenAI compatible API. That last part is how we are going to bring in GLM-5.2. Before installing OpenDesign, we first need a Z.AI API key. Go ahead and get the API key for the coding plan, or whatever way that you want to use it, and go ahead and configure it up in OpenCode, because that is what we will use to make it all work. Now, let's install OpenDesign. The easiest option is the desktop app, and this is what I recommend for most people. Go to open-design.ai, click the download button, and choose the installer for your system. You can also get exactly the same files from the releases section of the OpenDesign GitHub repository, which I will link in the description. Once OpenDesign starts, it may ask you a few onboarding questions. Complete those, and you should land on the homepage. If you already have coding agents such as Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, or OpenCode installed, OpenDesign will detect them automatically. Just select OpenCode and select the Z.AI coding plan GLM-5.2 and you'll be good to go. Now let's build something. From the homepage, start a new project. For the skill, I will choose Web Prototype, then choose a design system. OpenDesign includes systems inspired by products such as Linear, Stripe, Vercel, Airbnb, Apple, Notion, and many others. This is a big part of why this workflow works so well. The design system gives GLM-5.2 an actual visual contract. Instead of saying, make it modern, we are giving it rules for the palette, typography, spacing, component shapes, motion, voice, and even things it should avoid. For the first test, I will use a clean, editorial design system and enter this prompt. Create a premium landing page for an AI research workspace called Northstar. Use a restrained black, warm white, and electric orange palette. Include a navigation bar, a large editorial hero, an interactive research canvas preview, a social proof strip, a 3-step workflow, customer results, pricing, frequently asked questions, and a strong final call to action. Avoid excessive cards, gradients, glass morphism, and generic AI imagery. Make the page responsive and use subtle motion only where it improves hierarchy. Let's send it and see. GLM-5.2 first works through the brief, then OpenDesign streams the artifact into the preview. If we wait a bit, it is now done, and this looks really good. The hierarchy is clear, the typography has personality, and it did not just put every sentence inside a rounded rectangle. The product preview also feels connected to the actual idea, instead of looking like a random dashboard screenshot. The impressive part is the consistency. The same orange accent, border treatment, spacing rhythm, and type scale continue through the entire page. This is exactly the kind of thing models often lose once a page becomes long. Now, I do not want to regenerate the entire page just to make one change. I can continue the same conversation and say this. Keep the current design direction, but reduce the hero height by 15%. Make the product preview more information dense. Add a subtle animated connection between research nodes and improve the mobile navigation. Do not change the color palette or typography. Let's send that as well. And there we go. It keeps the original visual language while changing the specific parts I asked for. That is the right way to use an AI design tool. The first prompt establishes the direction, and your follow-up prompts should behave more like focused design critique. Now let's try something very different. I will create another project, choose the dashboard skill, and use a darker, more technical design system. This time, the prompt is to build an operations dashboard for a network of renewable energy sites. Create a high-density operations dashboard called GridWatch for monitoring solar and wind sites, include live power generation, regional capacity, active alerts, a 24-hour output chart, a map-style site overview, a maintenance queue, weather risk, and a compact activity feed. Use a dark interface with excellent contrast, clear status colors, and almost no decorative effects. Prioritize scannability and make every metric feel operational rather than promotional. Let's send it and see. If we wait a bit, here's the result. This is pretty amazing, to be honest. It understands that a dashboard needs density. We have a proper information hierarchy, compact controls, readable charts, status indicators, and a layout that actually feels useful. It is not just the landing page with the headings renamed. This is where GLM-5.2 feels especially strong. It can keep track of many UI requirements at once, and OpenDesign gives those requirements structure. The model supplies the implementation ability, while the skill and design systems supply the taste and constraints. You can also attach references or use a more specific design system when you already know the direction you want. A good prompt should describe the product, the audience, the key sections or screens, the visual tone, the interaction priorities, and the styles you want to avoid. For example, do not just say, make a SaaS landing page. Say who the product is for, what the main action should be, which content needs to appear, whether the page should feel editorial or technical, and what should not be used. Negative constraints such as no glass morphism, no giant gradients, and no excessive cards are surprisingly useful because they remove the most common AI defaults. Once you like the result, OpenDesign lets you export the artifact as real HTML, depending on the artifact type. It can also export formats such as PDF, PowerPoint, ZIP, or MP4. You can then hand the HTML and CSS to Codex, Claude Code, Cursor, or another coding agent, and ask it to integrate the design into your real React, Next.js, or Vue project. There is one limitation you should know about. OpenDesign's direct BYOK mode is designed for artifact generation, but it cannot read, write, or edit the files in an existing codebase. If you want the agent to modify a real repository, switch to local CLI mode and use one of the supported coding agents. You can still configure that agent to use GLM-5.2 if the agent supports the Z.AI endpoint, but the setup depends on that particular CLI for generating and iterating on standalone UI artifacts. Though the direct BYOK setup is simple and works really well. GLM 5.2 is strong at long, detailed UI implementation, and OpenDesign gives it the skills, design systems, preview loop, and export workflow needed to turn that ability into something consistently useful. It is not perfect. You should still check responsiveness, keyboard navigation, accessibility, contrast, and whether the generated interactions actually make sense. I would also avoid sending one enormous prompt and expecting the first generation to be final. Start with a clear direction, review the result, and make focus changes one at a time. But if you want an open-source UI generation workflow where you can bring your own model and keep the output as real code, this is one of the most interesting setups you can try right now. Overall, it's pretty cool. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you liked this video, consider donating through the Super Thanks option or becoming a member by clicking the Join button. Also, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye.